Okay, so some of you have seen online that RetroPython, a guy created this amazing, gorgeous Dreamcast build. If you hit B, you can go between the two settings, play or settings. If you go to play, it takes you to the main thing here. And I built one. He had one of these where he created it, and he made a Dreamcast case that was for a wireless charger into a Dreamcast. I put a Pi 4 in here with 2 gigs. Plays great. Ordered myself a custom Xbox One controller for it. Anyway, with Amazon Prime, the best SD cards were a 400 gig SD card. The best bang for the buck. 400 gigs is plenty. It's got lots to say. I'm thinking, okay, maybe what we could do to maybe delete some games off of this image, and potentially make a 400 gig version. And I found out that I logged in with Putty here. If you guys haven't done, let me just close that out and redo it real quick. The IP address real quick is, I think, 155. Yes, okay. So let's close that. Type in Putty. You have to download this. Obviously, some of you guys know what I'm talking about. 155. Pi is the username. Raspberry is the thing. So look on here, I can find out that the 512 gig version that he's using, he's only using up DF allows you to see that. So out of a 512 gig image, he's only using 305 gigs, which leaves 166 gigs. He's only using 65% of a 512 gig micro SD card. So which means I don't have to delete any games. All I have to do is shrink this thing to fit on a 400 gig micro SD card. So how do we go about doing that? Well, I've done it plenty of times before. I've never deleted or say, let's shrink it such a large amount. I usually shrink it in small amounts, because if you download something from someplace, it won't fit on your micro SD card within a few hundred megabytes or so, maybe a gig. Well, this is going to be, shrinking it like 112 gigs or so. Anyway, we'll be fine with that. I looked on here to make sure. If you look, this is the micro SD card. It has 366 gigs available when it's freshly imaged, freshly formatted, because formatting obviously takes up a certain amount of space for the file allocation table. Anyway, all that boring jargon. So there's tons of space, 366 on the 400 gig, and this only uses 305. So there's plenty of room to leave on there. And then once I shrink it and you install, it'll fill up the rest of your 400 gig with usable space. All right. So what we have to do to this, first of all, I don't have a Linux box that I just have sitting around, so I want to take my newest Pi 4 and put the Raspberry Pi operating system on there so that I can use G-ported, and I'll show you how that works, and we'll use some command line features to shrink the image and then get that going. Alright, so let's just exit out of here and then type in, I think, Raspberry Pi Imager. Yes. Choose an OS. We want just the. I don't guess it matters if it's 32-bit or not. I'm just looking for the 64-bit by default. I'm sorry, my camera is not reaching over there like I'd like. Other Pi OSs. Here, no, that's not that either. Other purposes. You got Ubuntu, Manjaro. Well, that really matters. Wonder why it doesn't. Let me see the 64-bit other versions. Octopi. All these wonderful versions in the simplest thing. Alright, well, screw it. We don't really need anything more than 32-bit. not for this purpose anyway. Alright, choose storage. We want the 400 gig one here. Storage bus. It says it's listed as letter I. I is my blank one. So I want to triple make sure that, you know, my I is what I'm choosing for the correct storage. I'm gonna write and hit yes. Alright, and when this gets done, I'll start again. Okay, something simple I want to point out here is if you want to shrink an image that you're trying to put on a Pi, then why not just use, like, you have a Raspberry Pi at your disposal. You obviously want to put an image on there, but you know, you currently can't fit it on the SD card that you have. So I took my Pi, I installed the operating system. It took me less than 10 minutes to put the basic operating system desktop on my Pi 4, and then I booted up, and then I went to, I'll show you real quick here. Just went to a web page and pulled up Google, and I searched for pishink.sh, and luckily enough, it's the first thing that came up. I right-clicked and told it to open a new tab, so to make sure I have the right link, the right place I want to go to. I click on code. I downloaded the zip. I decompressed it. I decompress it to the, to my downloads folders. Here's the zip itself. Here's the folder. I told it to open me. If you come up here, you can say tools and say open a current folder in a terminal. Alright, so once I did that, I went over here, and here's my terminal. As you can see, I told it to. Now, the other thing is the Pi 4 has a USB 3.0 port. So I have an NVMe with a USB 3 mount, external mount. So it's super fast. It's on NVMe, and so this is NTFS. This is normally on my regular Windows machine. So the image, the Pi image, is on this 1 terabyte NVMe drive. So it's really fast. It's going to help the process here. I go to the Pi where I have this open terminal where the command for pishink.sh is. I tell it to sudo run the script and then do it to the media/pi/ what it is. I left this window open here so I'd know exactly where it was at and where it was going to be pointing to. And if you look on here, here's the file itself. So basically, what I was saying earlier too is that the Python Dreamcast really super nice image, this 512, is only about 305 gigs, but it's on a 512 image, so it's a very large, but it can fit on smaller. So you can see here it says that this image has been shrunk to 301 gigs. So now we'll be able to take this. I don't have to copy that 301 gig file anywhere. It's right on this hard drive. It's right on where I shrank it. So I'm going to disconnect this. I'm going to hook it to my Windows machine. I'm going to take the SD card. I want to shut this down, take the SD card out, wipe my SD card, tell it to do the image from this hard drive to that SD card, which is a 400 gig, and we'll be in business. So I will hook all that up over here in a few minutes, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I know a bunch of you will be like, this view sucks, and I probably need to be streaming from my computer itself, but we'll figure that out later. So here's my NVMe that I just had. There's my image that was listed as 500 gigs, but it's now 315, which is awesome. So we'll leave that there. I'm going to run a program that's called SD card formatter. Okay. And we're going to choose the one that says boot, which is what I was using to boot up the Debian OS. We'll put 400 GB. It tells me it's 366/82 format. Yes. Down here it says progress 98%. Discord silence. Hurry up, stupid thing. Might just have to delete that section out. Chop chop. Alright, I don't know why it's taking so long. I guess because it's 400 gig. But we're just going to leave it running, and then we'll just chop this out of the video later. Alright, cool. As you can see here, fully. Now, there's, several programs. There's one 32 disc imager that you've probably, plenty of people seen. You choose that, you can go to whatever. There's the, I don't even know how to pronounce this one. This is the one I typically use. Let's just say Etcher. It's like B-A-L-E-N-A, Balena, Etcher. Anyway, this is one I like. I usually hit select image. We'll go down to this PC, the NVMe, and this drive. Let's take our image. It should read what is available here in a second. There we go. We're gonna say we want this I drive. So what I'm gonna do is triple check over here. I is the 400 gig. It says I on it. It's 366. So we're gonna come over here and select I. There's a green check mark next to it. I don't want to accidentally overwrite anything else I got going on here. So, and this one I'm using the mount point for the image, so it won't let me choose that. But I also don't want to do my 24 terabyte or my 12 terabyte. Anyway, so hit continue. We have flash. That should finally say yes, would you like to do this? And it'll start, which is not what I've been able to do. So once we get this this fully imaged, this will probably take at least an hour. Then we'll come back. I'll plug it into the Raspberry Pi that's already hooked up down here, and we'll check it out. So I was able to get the Raspberry Pi 4 case. I'm still going to put a decal on top to be the Sports Edition Dreamcast on top, but I got everything is in there nice and neat. Everything fits appropriately. The cables, the way it snaps together, and you have access to all your ports, including the network jack if you would need to. Overall, it's pretty good. Using the RetroPython, really super cool interface he built. It has like 600 some games on it. Has a 400 gig micro SD card in, because what I did on the video before was shrink it from 512. He had lots of room left on there. He was only using about 305 gigs, so I shrank it down to about 350, and then yeah, now it's working. So just get this decal on there, and we'll have the nice cool looking black Sega Dreamcast Sports Edition.